...2015 has come and gone. Now we are looking forward to the movies of 2016. But before we leave, just wanted to give you guys my top 10 films of 2015. This is just my list, guys. You know, we all have different opinions. Some of us, you know, might have the same, but it's like 1% out of the whole planet, guys. So if you disagree, don't get mad, but let me know your list after you are done seeing with mine. These are my favorite movies, but in my opinion, the best. But we all have different opinions, okay? Before I get to my top 10 movies of the year, I'm going to give some honorable mentions. The first on my list is Ant-Man. I loved Ant-Man. It was a fun new Marvel movie take, just, you know, fresh take on the heist film and the superhero genre and everything. I just felt like, you know, it was a fresh breath of fresh new air into this Marvel Cinematic Universe film. Had a good time with the movie. It really, you know, made me go back multiple times because I enjoyed seeing this film. The next one on the list is Spotlight. And Spotlight really had, you know, a very intense, you know, story to deal with, and the characters really just were top notch. You know, each character worked off against each other. This was a great ensemble piece. It's probably, yes, one of the best ensemble pieces of the year. It couldn't crack up my top 10, but I really did enjoy the movie. The characters made it worthwhile. The next one on the list is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. That was one of the best action movies of the year. That is what defines summer blockbuster movies. I had a great time with this movie. The action set pieces were well done throughout each of them. You know, Ghost Protocol had that one Dubai Tower scene. This one kept topping each other as it went by. It's great seeing, you know, Tom Cruise doing what he does best. You know, he is this fearless daredevil. Great. We had a great villain in this one. Rebecca Ferguson was absolutely amazing. This was an incredible film. And the other honorable mention I have is Peanuts. Peanuts, the movie, was such an adorable film. It, you know, really cherished that source material of the original classic series and short films and whatever came out, you know, from the 60s to the 80s. It was a wonderful movie to teach to the newer generation, and it was a great film to have, you know, in this day and age where everything's different. This movie stayed to its roots. It was classical, and it was just an adorable piece of a film. Now let's get on to our top 10 films of the year. My favorites, I call it best, but you know, we all have different opinions, which is okay. Coming in at number 10, it's Inside Out. Inside Out brought back Pixar to that form of those glory days where they kept, you know, excuse my phrase, but kept shitting out every year a great movie like Toy Story, The Incredibles, Monsters Inc. This one proved that they were back to form, and absolutely loved, you know, the meaning behind it, you know, with, you know, the growing up, with the emotions, everything, you know, everybody can relate to this movie. Everybody was once a kid. You can understand, you know, what you had to go to grow up. And this movie was just a wonderful movie for the little kids to see, and for the adults to be entertained by the other jokes that, you know, kids couldn't understand, that, you know, adults could have a good time with this film. Number 9 on the list is Mad Max Fury Road. This one was, such, from the beginning, when you see the logo, to, you know, the next 2 hours of the film was just imagine your head being shaked around for 2 hours. It was just insane. You felt like you were literally on this ride. You know, the story didn't have to be, you know, too complex. It was just normal, basic, but seriously, it's the characters. It's what it needed to, what was accomplished for as a, you know, film that made it through. It was just the pieces of, you know, where we went from chasing to this greenhouse, and to trying to go back to where we started. It was just intense throughout the whole movie, and Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron were amazing. I love seeing those two work off each other. They both were badasses. and this was a great time at the movies. Very in this list is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. This movie is a little bit more different. You know, it came out in the summer, but it really wasn't a summer blockbuster film. It was more of a serious drama film. Absolutely just love this movie. From the 3 performances, from the 2 boys and the girl, they all did well with each other. I actually felt like I was watching real kids, you know, in a film. Like, these were movies kids you can see in real life. They took something that could have been so serious, you know, made it, even though, you know, they didn't, you know, try to lighten it up too much, you know, try to hide the situation. At least it tried to give you some hope, like, you know, whatever you're going through, you know, you can still have fun with what you have and just appreciate the little things. This movie was very powerful, especially the ending. It's one of the rare few movies that actually makes me cry once the credits are rolling. Absolutely adore this film. Number 7 in the list is Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton is the biopic of the NWA group from the 1990s. My goodness, I was blown away with this movie. I didn't really was probably my expectations. I expected, you know, good musical biopic. I really had hopes for this because I did like this band growing up. It was one of my favorite rap hip hop groups as I started growing older from the 90s, and I wanted to see if they can bring justice to like Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and they did more than that. They gave us great characters. They gave us great story. They gave us awesome directorial set pieces. From the direction, from the story to the characters, you can actually feel what everybody was going through, from, you know, trying to get up to the top to also when the downfall occurs. You just root for these people. You just, you know, feel for these people, and the direction just brings this atmosphere to life. Number 6 on my list is Sicario. Sicario is a very dark, dirty film. Like, it made me feel terrible about myself. What goes underground, you know, what you don't know. You think you know everything, but there is more to than meets the eye. And this movie just gave you that feel of what it is like to working for, like, you know, DEA, looking for all these cartels, and knowing that you have to get dirty to get things done sometimes. Benicio del Toro gives a great performance. Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin are excellent in this film. The cinematography is amazing. Denis Villeneuve scores another film, and this movie is just a perfectionist, written all over it. I was in my edge of my seat throughout all the film. I absolutely was invested in this film. Coming in at my number 5 is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a very more different movie. It really was just like, it wasn't just scene after scene after scene. It wasn't like a continuous shot like Birdman or whatever. It was more of a 3-act structure, literally. And those 3 acts was filled with so much what we needed to know of these characters, what was going to given to us for this whole 2 hours. And I think it was 20 minutes. I'm not sure. I can't remember. And even though Michael Fassbender doesn't look like Steve Jobs, he embodied him. The other characters around him really helped create this character that we were getting introduced. Even though you probably wouldn't have loved all the characters, you would be invested with what they had to do. Whether it was Michael Fassbender, Kate Winslet, Seth Rogen, it's just every character just helped with every other character. This was another great ensemble piece also. And the 3-act structures really give you a glimpse of how the life of Steve Jobs was and how he transcended from the beginning to, you know, when we were about to get introduced into the iPod. The direction is absolutely gorgeous. With what you could have gotten with this film, the director did what he could as much. And the acting is amazing, and you're just again at the edge of your seat of how the story unveils itself. Coming in at my number 4 is Creed. Creed was like a film like Rocky. Okay, it's the 7th film in the installment. It might have felt a little bit similar to Rocky, but it still was a fresh new take on this next chapter of the series. It had the same beats, but I don't think it copied everything exactly. You cared for this main character played by Michael B. Jordan. It was great seeing familiar faces again, like Rocky, passing on the torch. I feel like the heart and soul of this film was passing on the torch, and you really just cared for what this character had to go through, you know, trying to make a name for himself. And really, the music was amazing in this film. Just the look of it, how even the boxing sequences were shot, it was so artistic. There were shots here that looked like that couldn't be done, that were done, and I can't wait to see more what this group has for us. Now for Ghost Station Creed, I want to see if Jordan and Coogler can make even greater things. This movie is a faithful adaptation to the people that love the original Rocky and the people just, you know, that love the Rocky series in general. And my number 3 is The Martian. The Martian felt like a real life film. I actually feel like, was this based on a real story? I really cared about Mark Watney, played by Matt Damon. The look of this movie actually felt like it was shot in Mars. I was in my edge of my seat. I was so intrigued for the whole film. This is a movie just like Creed. These two movies, once you know what the story happens, you feel like, you know, you might not want to see this movie, but you like these characters so much you want to see it again. I wanted this person to be saved. I wanted him to be okay. I love how he was, you know, trying to be funny, not just for the sake of, you know, making funny lines the whole entire time. He had a purpose. It was to keep himself sane. And I just love how people are trying to bring him back, everybody there trying to get together, and in him trying to contain himself. It was like two opposite worlds, but at the same time they were able to mesh well, just to make a perfect, good film. Ridley Scott is really back to form with this film, and I just absolutely loved the film for its vision, for its characters, everything. Coming in at number 2 is Ex Machina. Oh my goodness, Ex Machina is a beautiful film. It's artistically done. It is very minimal for what it's accomplished, and it did so much more. It is like a sci-fi movie done with a low budget, and you can't even tell. But just if you know what goes on with this film, you're just fascinated, you're appreciated with it, with the looks, where it was located, how it's all isolated. You have very few actors in this movie, with Oscar Isaac, Domhnall Gleeson, and Alicia Vikander, and they did as much as they could, and I was, you know, I was interested throughout the whole film. They kept me entertained, they kept me intrigued, they kept me satisfied to get more out of these people, and I just loved how from point A to point B to point C was unpredictable in this movie. I come back multiple times just to study it more, because I just love from frame to frame how this film is done. The CGI, with the little money it's had, does not look fake. It actually looks so realistic, and it just works. From the direction to the script to the acting, this movie is very incredible. It is super incredible, that I just, you know, wanted to see where the story goes after. But boy, does it take a ballsy route, and, you know, just end in this unexpected way. Now, coming in at number 1, to a lot of people who've been to my channel probably know what this one is, and just in case you guys don't know, drum roll please. Boom. Yes, you're right. It is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. This is a movie I was anticipating from the beginning of 2015. I just kept counting down the days. Once I heard there was a new movie coming out, I was so excited to see what this latest installment would bring to us. And I don't like to get anticipated too much, because I sometimes would be semi-disappointed to somehow thinking it was an okay film. This is one of those rare movies that actually lived up to my potential, maybe because I've been through it so much, but I knew what I was getting myself into, and I was so right, and I'm glad this movie exists. Like I said, this movie I had a good time with it. What works so much is just J.J. Abrams bringing back that feel from the original Star Wars movies people that like the prequels can still like this movie, and people who love the originals who were missing out on a great movie will enjoy and have a great time with this movie. It really brought back the feels for it. The new characters did a good job trying to, carry on with the old characters left off. It might have seemed so hard to top what we had in the originals, but these new characters pay homage and bring a new flair to their characters. And then the action sequences, from the Falcon chase to the massacre in Maz Kanata's palace, to the main climax with Han Solo's death, or Rey and Finn facing Kylo Ren at Starkiller Base. It was absolutely gorgeous, and seriously, this has multiple viewings for me, and I love how film can be a good time, have a good story, and appeal to lots of not just people, but generations, newer people that want to get into Star Wars. Also giving that, that satisfaction for the people that love the originals. This is the bridge that connects it to the prequels also. The fans and just everybody can appreciate this movie. If you don't like this movie, it's okay, but you need to have a very good excuse, because this movie just did what it needed to do. This is the start of a new trilogy, and I can't wait to see where the next two installments takes us. One of the few nitpicks I had was I wanted to see more, and that's a good thing. I'm glad that this movie made me want to come back in the future and see the next installments. And really, this movie had no single problems with it. And there you go, guys. That is my list for my top 10 movies of 2015. Let me know what you guys think of it. But instead of saying, oh no, your list is wrong, okay, that's not how it was. Or why is that movie there and not this one? Let me know your list, okay? I like to know what everybody thought of this year of films. I gave you guys mine. Now I want to hear your voice in the comments below, okay? Like I say, your opinion is a voice I like to hear in the comments below. And as always, Rolling Empire, laugh, smile, repeat, guys. Peace.